US President Donald Trump has nominated his trusted aide, Sergio Gore, as the next US ambassador to India. The current director of the White House Presidential Personnel Office has been given a second charge as Special Envoy for South and Central Asian Affairs. Both nominations are yet to be confirmed as appointments in the Senate hearing. Born in Tashkent in Uzbekistan, Sergio Gore moved to Malta and then to the US, building his career as a Republican operative, spokesperson, and co-founder of Trump-affiliated initiatives. Known for overseeing staffing and loyalty vetting at the highest level in the White House, Sergio Gore has no prior diplomatic experience. Analysts say that his appointment signals direct political access to India, strengthening US engagement in the region, but it also raises questions about experience, nuance, and the dual roles complexity. Sergio Gore's political career began in the year 2008 when he supported Senator John McCain's presidential campaign. He subsequently worked for the Republican National Committee and served as a spokesperson for several Republican representatives, including Steve King, Michelle Bachmann, and Randy Forbes. In 2013, he joined Senator Rand Paul's Political Action Committee, eventually serving as Paul's spokesman, communications director, and deputy chief of staff. In June 2020, Sergio Gore left Paul's office to serve as the chief of staff of the Trump Victory Finance Committee. The following month, he began working for Donald Trump Jr. as his consultant and book publishing manager. In October 2021, Sergio Gore co-founded Winning Team Publishing with Donald Trump Jr., and Gore's nomination has come with a lot of controversy. He faced scrutiny for delaying the submission of his security clearance paperwork despite overseeing thousands of hires in the Trump administration. This led to a feud with Elon Musk, who had previously been a major Trump donor, and he reacted by threatening to form a third party and endorsing Trump's impeachment. Additionally, questions were raised about Gore's birthplace. While he often referred to Malta as his homeland, officials there had no birth records, and reports indicated that he was born in Uzbekistan. And now we have Pragya Bakshi Sharma joining us on the broadcast. Pragya, an important appointment by the US administration, albeit a controversial one.
Well, yes, it's a very curious appointment, but it also sort of reflects the tension between US and India. And, Sergio Gore is Trump's inside man. And he is responsible for very high-profile appointments to the White House for Trump 2.0. And so it's, quite curious that a person with not so much of a diplomatic background, but a political one, is being nominated by Trump for India. And he's coming with dual nomination. He will have another role as Special Envoy to South and Central Asia. And that means that experts are saying, at least from what we are hearing and reading about it, is that they are going to handle New Delhi and perhaps also manage relationships from New Delhi in South Asia and Central Asia. That includes Pakistan, that includes Afghanistan. So how they are going to go about this also, I think it's safe to say, looks like trying to manage at least India politically. It's definitely, giving a more negative undertone, but really it remains to be seen. The Senate hearing is yet to happen. So if we get through, although even the hearings are going to be, quite worth watching. So
Right.
Let's see how that goes.
Now we have Ambassador Veena Sikri, former Indian diplomat, joining us on the broadcast. Ambassador Veena Sikri, thank you for taking time out to be with us here on News 9. This is a long-awaited appointment from the U.S. administration, but it has come with so many issues surrounding it, right from where this ambassador to India was born. Questions surrounding that to many others. In fact, you have Elon Musk at one point in time clashing with Trump over him. And now Elon Musk is not part of the administration anymore, but Sergio Gore gets such an important post, the American ambassador to India.
Well, certainly you have mentioned a number of internal controversies in America that have surrounded the individual, the persona of Sergio Gore. I think that's in its own place, and those are problems they have to solve internally. But I think for us in India, the biggest problem is his concurrent appointment that is being talked about in the media, his concurrent appointment as special envoy for South Asia and Central Asian affairs. Now, I think I must here recall that just yesterday, when our External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar, was speaking at an event, he described the 3 red lines in our relationships with the US. And he spoke, the first red line concerns the trade and tariffs, and said that India is very committed to the interests of its farmers, its dairy producers, its micro and small entrepreneurs. And so those are important red lines that we will not be able to cross, in the controversy about agriculture and dairy and genetically modified seeds and so on. The second one he spoke about was purchase of Russian oil, where India is very firm that this is the correct policy, and we will continue on this policy. We have described as unfair and unreasonable and unjustified the imposition of the special 25% additional tariff. The third issue, the third red line that Dr. Jaishankar spoke about was about third-party mediation between India and Pakistan. Now, it is this third red line that becomes the biggest concern when we see this additional appointment that or concurrent appointment that Sergio Gore has as a special envoy for South Asia and Central Asian affairs. And certainly, if it's going to imply any kind of additional supervisory role that Sergio Gore has for other parts of South Asia, whether it is Pakistan, Bangladesh, or other countries, and including Central Asia. And if that is going to lead to any kind of attempt, informal or formal, at third-party mediation between India and Pakistan, then this is, I think, the major point of concern for India. We know already that previously under Barack Obama, there was the case of Richard Holbrooke, where at one point there was some discussion that he would be a kind of a special envoy. He wasn't the ambassador or anything, but he would have this role of special envoy for, I think they were talking about South Asia, and they mentioned India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. So we were very firm on that. We did not actually accept it at all, and eventually his appointment was a special envoy for Pakistan and Afghanistan. Of course, he visited India several times. That's a completely different matter, but there was no hint at any concurrent appointment for Richard Holbrooke covering India and Pakistan at the same time. Now, this time again, I think it's a similar interest or concern that has arisen, definitely. And I think that we will be looking into this very carefully. There are rumors, there's talk that actually Sergio Gore himself has sought this appointment, this broader appointment for South Asia and Central Asia. Because, there's another aspect. Actually, it is the State Department which looks after, the South Asia and Central Asian affairs.
Right.
And but Sergio Gore is with the White House. So again, you might have a little clash, but that's their own internal matter. Yeah. For us, our concern is this aspect.
Ambassador Veena Sikri, what you're talking about is what I'm trying to arrive at. This means the highest level of political engagement and involvement from the US. That's what Sergio Gore's announcement means. But the question is always about, his experience, his ability to do, to have nuance and bring complexity. Because look at the way the situation is right now, not just for India, but across, South Asia. It is a complex situation and one that needs to be deftly handled. And in that sense, it is a big question mark whether Sergio Gore will be able to do that, or more importantly, is Sergio Gore just a stand-in for Trump when it comes to affairs with India and South Asia as a whole?
is our biggest concern. I think his own personal experience, I mean, he's very young, certainly, for that post, and he had no experience of diplomatic affairs. But in the American system, this is what happens all the time. And in the sense that he has the ear of President Trump, I think that is something that always helps in in the conduct of relations. But I think when you have an ambassador for India, you want that person to have exclusive interest in India's position, right? So when you say that Sergio Gore has the ear of President Trump, our concern would be that he should have the ear of President Trump to explain India's point of view, right? And to give India's point of view the importance, the special importance, the primacy that we would like it to have when reporting is done to President Trump. Now, when you have the special envoy role, and then you say that he'll be traveling or whatever it means, we do not yet know what this special role will mean, or even whether we're going to raise it, etc. I'm sure we will raise it. When you have a special envoy role, then it implies that you have a loyalty to other regions, other parts of South Asia and Central Asia. And this is where the concern about mediation comes in, that, when you're also going to visit, say, Pakistan or anywhere else, and then you will also report on that. So I think that this is a very major area of concern. And I think we are going to be very clear on that, because this has already been indicated as an important red line. We have already, we know that, on this question of the so-called, President Trump, what he's been saying about the mediation between India and Pakistan after Operation Sindoor. And we have repeatedly said, no, there was no such mediation, and that there were no talks of trade, no talks of linkages between trade and the settlement and the ceasefire after Operation Sindoor. There's no ceasefire yet. It is just a Yudh Viram. It is only a pause. So all these issues, we already know that on this very issue, there is this major aspect of difference with President Trump. So now, if we're going to have an ambassador who would then again be looking into all these same issues, then it's a big matter of concern. We also know, for example, you've mentioned about Sergio Gore's close relationship with the son of President Trump. And we also know that another friend of the son of President Trump, Genty Beach, he was the one who had first gone to Pakistan and made the breakthrough with Pakistan on this cryptocurrency and so on, and bringing Pakistan into the agreement with America, with the private company of America from the family concern of President Trump on cryptocurrency. So I think all these leads to a lot of concern, that the involvement doesn't seem to be exclusively for India, where we would like that India's point of view is given directly to President Trump, and so India's point of view is understood and appreciated and conveyed directly to President Trump.
Right, which brings us back to that question about Sergio Gore, and more importantly, right now, Sergio Gore is yet to get that Senate confirmation, Ambassador Veena Sikri. That is going to be the one that finally says and finally draws the line, signs on dotted line, saying the fact that Sergio Gore will be, the ambassador to India and will be in charge of South and Central Asian affairs. How much of a problem do you think that is going to be at this stage for Trump?
Yes, I think, yes, we do know that the Americans, they do have in their system a very complicated system of confirmation by the Senate and the House. And I think that on this matter, the Senate will certainly raise this, because this is very unusual. There are special envoys in the American system, but they're not simultaneously ambassadors in based in any one of the countries or the region in which they are special envoy. So that is the question. And there again, the issue that you mentioned earlier about the security clearance, which is already pending, because Sergio Gore has not completed the form and not submitted his papers for security clearance to actually hold the job that he is presently holding in the White House. So I'm sure this issue will also come up in the Senate hearings. But yes, the Senate hearings will certainly take up this issue, and I think that is where one would be talking to many of the senators and looking at this aspect very closely, because these issues will certainly come up in the Senate, and that will be the one point where we will be able to maybe talk to individual senators and raise this issue.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Ambassador Veena Sikri, former Indian diplomat, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on News 9.